Good morning, everyone. John471 here to discuss the S&P 500. Today is Friday, May 23rd, 2025. Allow me to read our disclaimer. Derivatives trading is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Let's begin today, as we always do, with our scheduled news. Again, not very much today. Wasn't very much all week. We do have at 9:35 on the cash open. We have Musalem and Schmidt speaking at a Northwest Arkansas fireside chat. I think there is going to be economic conditions talk. So there might be comments out of that matter. We also have Lisa Cook at noon. And the only data point is 10 a.m. new home sales. That's it. We also have a few speakers. We have from Europe, BOE's Pill, and I think we have an ECB speaker, Lane, at 8:30. So mostly just speakers. Also Schnabel at 12:15 here. So a few speakers, not that much data, but a few things to be aware of on this Friday. Let's move on to our charts. Okay, here we are on our chart of the S&P 500, daily bars, full session. And what we've been paying attention to on this chart since we've gotten through this area, this March area of structure here, the big area that we were aware of was the 5821s, which is kind of right here. We pushed above it and began to trend. We noticed that we're starting to get a rounded top here for a little bit more balanced action. And we did get the impulsive day lower. This was Wednesday. And then yesterday, Thursday, this impulsive day, I'll note, it took out the singles that we had left from a few days ago, but we didn't get to the 5821 target. Then the following day, which was yesterday, we pushed and we tested the target overnight. It was our target when I made the video, and then we ended up getting a test before the cash open. Reverted above and really mostly chopped around the session. You see that yesterday was kind of just like we call it a spinning top day. It didn't really do very much. It was able to continue the impulse, but that is continue through yesterday's low, but was unable to get that 5821 target. So what do we have left with here today? Let's take a look. Well, the thing that I'm noticing here is we do have the 1, 2, 3 potential market structure low situation happening. So for that reason, both the high and the low of yesterday are going to be pretty important. And the thing is, pushing through the high or the low of yesterday, we have super clear targets. Pushing above, we have the single prints left from 2 days ago, and pushing below, we have the 5821s. So clear targets, but just a little bit of a caution flag that we're starting to slow down in terms of momentum of the downward move. That could resume today, but we've sort of found some acceptance down here. Let's go on to a smaller time frame chart and discuss that a bit more specifically. Okay, here we are on our market profile chart. Noting that just in the time I took to pause that, we actually have taken the low of yesterday. So that is kind of that will color our perspective here. But anyway, moving on, as you see, we have this on Thursday or Wednesday. We left these single prints here. And yesterday, what I was talking about was basically we had the single prints up here as a target above. And we had this MCV POC area, the 5821s I've been talking about, as a target below. And we're essentially still in that situation right now. As you can see, we are pushing. We are pushing this orange line is the current trade. So we are pushing that price. Our 58.35 is our most recent low. So the fact that we've now taken this low kind of real time changes things for us. This high is I'm giving less odds to this high being tested today, obviously, now that we're taking the low. And so I'll be looking for a test of this price of these 5821s. And let's just go into a smaller time frame chart and discuss the price action because it's really unfolding in real time right now. So let's do that. Okay, here we are on our chart of the S&P 500 intraday PNF. Here we can see this was our test lower yesterday. They got essentially to this 5821 area, not quite, about a rotation away, the purple area, before kind of just chopping around, making an attempt higher during the RTH session, which was unable to get to our singles targets. So a pretty choppy session here where we just kind of opened, chopped around, pushed higher, pushed lower, tried to make a meaningful extension higher, but really were unable. And here we are again, just opening our RTH session right around the prior day's VPOC. As you can see, we kind of made a few half-hearted attempts higher, but really the trade has been magnetizing towards this magnet zone. So in terms of what might happen today, I'm going to begin with bearish ideas. Although we could easily just rip higher out of here, but I'll begin with our bearish ideas. And the most bearish idea would obviously be if this overnight high holds. And I'm thinking that if this stock zone, which holds a lot of our important levels from the prior auction and the overnight, if this area holds on retest, that would probably be the most bearish idea, or if it doesn't even get retested. But let's go over it. So if we get the retest, that would be nice. Retest and then reversion lower below this zone to target the mag zone, obviously. Now, here's the thing. Depending on how this mag zone gets tested, if we just push into it and then possibly lick check and get back above this 5840 zone and start to work in the mid-century, then the shorts will be off. If we test lower, revert higher, then it's either it'll probably either be balance or higher. If we really start to get back above this this overnight VPOC, yesterday's VPOC zone, after a test, that is a test, and then a push higher that finds no interest, then I would be cautious. However, the most bearish situation, and I do think it's a possibility, is if we push lower, get below this magnet zone, and are unable to recover and start to explore prices below the magnet zone. If that happens, the key target is obviously this zone, the 5805s, which includes our prior week's low. This is Friday, so if we're testing our prior week's low today, that's significant to me. I'm expecting to be an area where there is going to be a tension, where either we test it, we get the test, and then we revert, as I kind of mentioned before, or we test it and we find absolutely no interest and we start to auction lower. If we get into this area, if we follow this script where we fall below the magnet zone and get into the into this gap zone, I'm just going to go zone to zone, expecting an auction lower. We have plenty of targets within this area. Singles, the 76 zone, just basically every auction target on the way down will be of interest to me, and I'll just expect us to grind. That's if we get this bearish move. Let's go over our bullish ideas. So as noted, we could see bullish ideas that happen with a quick test into the magnet zone that shows reversion, or a quick test into this prior week's low area that shows reversion. In either case, I would need to see a test and then a reversion above the next most important level or area of fight to start thinking long. If we test into the gap zone, I'll expect to see us get back above the magnet zone and really the 40s to start thinking long. If I get on any reversion long, the initial target will be this area. As I've talked about, it's a very important area, this 5840 to 50 area. If we get above it, or if none of this happens, that's the other way we could go long, is this test just ends up being a test, ends up being another higher low versus the prior day, in which case I would be open to us just potentially pushing above this magnet zone, or this mid-century zone. Continuing, I think if we take the overnight high, and accept prices, then we have a pretty good shot of getting to yesterday's high. And if we can get to yesterday's high and accept prices, then again, on the table are our single prints, which would be a key target today. So basically, that for me, if I need to see price get above this mid-century area, and hold. If we can do that, then I'm open for the test of this 58.80 zone, which is key. And if we can hold this area, then things might start to unwind and we could get a nice long trade from the 80s up to test yesterday's high and a potential runner to the singles. That would be really nice. If we start to move through the singles on a situation like this, I would, similar to in the gap zone, I would just go zone to zone. I would consider most of the excursion to really be done, and I would just look for zone to zone moves. What is our nothing scenario? Well, here's yesterday's full session low. Here's today's current full session low as of right now. And if this series of higher lows holds, but we can't get yesterday's RTH high, then expect a whole lot of chop if we are just spending time in this area. This would probably be a trade that would be very outside in. It would be very on brand for what the ES has given us this week, so I wouldn't be shocked to see this. But that's all I got for you today. I think we do have a decent chance of getting some movement today, and our targets are pretty clear yet again. Boom, boom, or above. We have through this area, we're looking for yesterday's high. Through yesterday's high, we're looking for the singles. So pretty clear. Any questions, ask me in the chat room. Always happy to help. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope your wonderful day continues. And most of all, I hope you find some way to improve your trading today that is not dependent upon your P&L. That's what I got for you. Any questions, ask me in the chat room. Ciao.